Welcome back. Our first speaker is the Deputy Editor of the South African National Editors Forum. He's a journalist of note, also the acting editor of the Mail and Guardian newspaper. Welcome, Mr. Monare. Thank you.
Many thanks indeed, and I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Minister and thank you for your inspirational and encouraging words, and I also acknowledge the presence of Advocate Pensi Tlakula. I must say it fills me with the great sense of hope to see politicians, lawyers and journalists under one roof and agreeing on something for a change. And lawyers not expecting payment, journalists not expecting exclusive front page scoop, and politicians not expecting free publicity. The South African National Editors Forum is fundamentally opposed to any form of criminalization and unjustifiable restriction of free speech. We view criminal defamation as a direct attack on freedom of expression and the media. Criminal defamation undermines and represents a radical departure from the democratic values of openness, freedom, and accountability. It offends the principle of a free society that is underpinned by free exchange of ideas and expression. We were therefore shocked and disappointed to hear Judge Molefe in the Motsepe case confirming that criminal defamation was a justifiable and reasonable limitation of freedom of expression. We are not legal scholars, but just low-paid journalists. But we believe that our court's interpretation and reaffirmation of this crime failed to take into account our constitutional values that are supposed to give texture, purpose, and character to our jurisprudence. Had they done that, Judge Molefe and others would have realized that criminal defamation has no place in our common law. We hope our high courts will discharge their constitutional duties of developing the common law to reflect the prevailing values by questioning the relevance of this crime. Criminal defamation must not be tolerated in post-apartheid South Africa. We have adequate legal and constitutional guarantees to protect the dignity, privacy, and reputation of the defamed. At least not all our judges believe in the criminalization of free speech. Former Gauteng Judge President Bennett Mwepe, as the Minister has alluded to, agrees that defamation is not a crime but a civil matter. In his minority judgment in the Konate case in the African Court on Human and People's Rights, Mwepe wrote, and I quote, "Criminal defamation is an unjustified restriction to the rights of freedom of expression. There should have been no punishment based on criminal defamation at all. The aggrieved person should have resorted to other avenues than to criminal recourse." I must say it's a shame that in South Africa in 2015, journalists or anyone wishing to express herself or himself within the limits of the Bill of Rights could face a threat of arrest, prosecution, and possibly imprisonment and fine. When facing a charge of criminal defamation, you are effectively a crime suspect, and the complainant has the disproportionate power and the assistance of state institutions at his or her disposal. Journalists must never, ever operate under such threats, especially when some of our politicians are flirting with the idea of insult laws. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, there were 221 journalists. Even though none of the imprisoned journalists were in South African jails, the arrest and initial conviction of Cecil Motsepe, former Sowetan journalist, for criminal defamation has a chilling effect on freedom of expression. It effectively criminalizes the practice of journalism, and we find that as Sanef very unacceptable. It triggers the traumatic memories of apartheid security laws in which the executive could use the might of the state to stifle free flow of information and the public's right to know. One of the primary roles of the media in a democracy is to hold the powerful accountable, fight for the voiceless, and inform the public. And we believe that criminal defamation restricts this role. It negates the values envisioned by our founding fathers and mothers who gathered not so far from here more than 2 decades ago to make sure that never again shall journalists be detained for their thoughts, expression, and for what they write and stand for. It is reassuring, however, that the ruling party, the ANC, believe that defamation doesn't belong in the criminal sphere of our law. It is for this reason that this workshop signifies a rare but crucial partnership in the campaign against criminal defamation. I personally still don't understand why criminal defamation is not abrogated by disuse. Someone mentioned at the Freedom of Expression Institute April seminar that even some lawyers are not aware that criminal defamation is still part of our common law. We all laughed, actually. But it's true, because in the Motsepe and Hoho cases, one of the key questions the courts had to answer was whether the crime was still extant, because it's rarely prosecuted. And when it is prosecuted, the complainants are usually the prominent and the powerful. Ironically, these are the very same people who have enough resources to institute expensive legal defamation cases. Ordinary citizens do not necessarily benefit from criminal defamation protection. Therefore, there is no basis to retain it. However, doing away with criminal defamation doesn't give journalists the power to defame and impair the dignity and reputation of others. The elimination of criminal defamation will not be a license to defame with impunity. As we all know, our constitutional drafters did not make freedom of expression paramount. It competes with other constitutional rights, such as privacy and dignity. Our Bill of Rights also offers adequate limitations. Therefore, removing criminal defamation from our common law doesn't deny the defamed the right of recourse. They can be awarded damages for ruined reputations. They can also be awarded interdicts to prevent irreparable harm to their reputation. They have free access to the Press Ombudsman and the Press Council Appeals Panel, currently chaired by Judge Mwepe. In his address at the Freedom of Expression seminar in April, Judge Mwepe also said that where criminal defamation has amounted to incitement, there are laws to protect such crime. There are laws to prosecute such crimes. As Sanef, we will support any campaign or processes that could lead to the decriminalization of defamation. Lastly, just to veer a little from criminal defamation, I wish and hope that we will meet in a similar forum or workshop to tackle other threats against the media, such as the proposed statutory media appeals tribunal. I thank you.
Thank you, Moshweshwe. We're now going to a short break. Thank you.